felt incredibly guilty having survived. But it was a relief to know that it was all over and that there was no longer any doubt as to what was going to happen to me. When I was younger, I was quite wild, and as I got older, I'd find that I wasn't taking quite the same risks that I used to. My attitude to risk has changed over the years. I've got a wife and a beautiful baby daughter, and I want to be there for them. I don't set out to be a role model in any way. If people see what I do as an inspiration, that's great, but that's not what I set out to do at all. I've always been a city dweller, but I've always had my escape. And climbing's been a passion of mine since I was a teenager. I just love dabbling in all sorts of activities, skiing and sailing, orienteering and caving. I've always been motivated by challenge. Out here in Ardnamurchan, it's absolutely stunning, incredible views and beautiful scenery. It's the first time I've ever been here. I first met Davey when we both worked in rope access. I actually trained him. And climbing is essentially how I've met most of the people I know in my life. But I do find that I'm reliant quite heavily on my friends. That's great, I don't mind that at all. It brings you closer. I'm quite happy just to be able to go out into the mountains and enjoy doing easier climbs, but it was a lot harder for me to go back to climbing than it was to go back to all the other things I did, like running and snowboarding and skiing. It was just a question of giving it a little time to let the dust settle before going back.
I'm watching you.
It was in January 1999 that two of us, myself and Jamie Fisher, went to climb the north face of Les Douates, which is a classic north face of the Alps. The storm hit us from the other side of the mountain. The snow was piling down on us harder than I've ever seen it falling before. At this stage we were too high to retreat, and it was quicker to get to the top, and we just managed to dig a small ledge in the ice just wide enough for the two of us to get lying side by side. The storm continued and it just raged on, but there was no shelter. In the end, we were stuck there for 5 days and 5 nights. And by the time the rescue services finally managed to get a helicopter in and pulled us off the ridge, unfortunately it was too late. I was sitting in the snow, frozen hands, no gloves on, no boots on, frozen feet. It was too late for Jamie Fisher. He died of hypothermia during the 5th night. I ended up losing my hands and feet, which on the face of it seemed like a fate worse than death for an active person. It took a long time to rebuild my life. I wanted to go back to Chamonix, and it was when I looked up at those incredible icy spires once more that I realised that I did want to climb again. I'm forced to use every single muscle in my body to contrive ways to climb. Even the most simple route can be a complete body pump for me. I'm using my arms completely differently, but I love the technical challenge of it. Good night, mate. My prosthetic legs are normally very reliable, but I'll never be able to do the same kind of mountaineering that I did before the accident. That doesn't worry me. I like doing balancy climbs best, ones where I can use my feet to their best advantage. technical footwork I find really absorbing. Learning to trust your feet as you put them on a tiny crystal or a little smear. Personally, I find I can do a lot more if I can feel what I'm touching. I could wear a prosthetic arm and pick up a glass, no problem, but there's always a chance of it slipping. Whereas if I pick up a glass with my two stumps, it feels much more secure to me. Quite apart from that, I like the freedom of not wearing anything on my arms. But I do have a lot of prosthetic devices. I've got ice axes, I've even got an arm with a bread knife on it. Useless piece of carbon fibre. I can't actually pull that hard with it because otherwise I might pull the leg off. There we go. I'm always trying to find cunning ways of using my arms. Nowadays, I find it easier to push down on holds rather than pull on them. I put a lot of my success down to the fact that I'm prepared to persevere with a task, no matter how difficult or even impossible it seems before setting out. Little bastard thing. I'll just give it a go and try until finally I manage. There's a lot of things that are very tedious and fiddly to do that I will get help with. I mean, a simple thing like tying my shoelaces. Yeah, I can tie a shoelace, but it's going to take me 5 or 10 minutes. I may as well just swallow my pride and ask someone else. Aha.
So where you got your foot up, it was tricky, wasn't it, this one?
Yeah, I can't hardly pull with my left arm anymore.
What, do you want me to give you a tug?
No, not just, no.
Get over. Good effort.
Yeah, that was really hard.
Over my leg.
Oh, well done, Davey.
Oh, well done, Jamie.
That was about as hard as it gets for me.
Oh, yeah. Do you reckon? E5?
At least E5. I've achieved so many things since my accident. I've climbed in Scotland, in the Alps, in Africa. I've run the London Marathon. And that's my challenge, to live my life without hands and feet.